Tell me what you've seen from Brock Purdy in camp, the good and the not so good. And if you want to focus on the good, I can help you out with the not so good. Up to you.
Well, the good and the not so good. The good is that he's still very much the guy that we saw last year. I mean, the one attribute that everybody talks about, well, Trey's a bigger, better athlete. Well, I don't know about, I know he's bigger and I know he's got a bigger arm, but I don't know that he's faster because Purdy runs really well. And today was an example of it. He ran for a touchdown. He also made an incredible play today where he was on one side of the formation, got flushed, ran to the other side of the formation.
That was nice.
Found George Kittle, and
nice.
From a kind of an odd angle, threw him the ball, and that was a big hitter. I mean, those are the kinds of off schedule. You got to be able to make plays off schedule, and Brock Purdy can do that. So
that's very good in the red zone today, right?
Well, he's very accurate in the red zone. He's accurate.
Yeah,
he's
and he
accurate.
Makes plays.
He processes.
And he makes plays late in the down. You talked about that with Jimmy, right? That's a big difference between Brock.
Jimmy
and
never did. Jimmy never
did.
And also, here's the real number one reason that Brock's better than Trey and Darnold and Jimmy and all these guys is that if you're gonna be really, really good in the quick game, you have to have perfect footwork, and he does. He's got great footwork in the quick game. If you take one wrong step in the quick game, it's a totally different play. He's got that stuff down, and Darnold doesn't, Trey doesn't, Jimmy doesn't. Most quarterbacks don't, and he does, and he's very young to have it down. So to me, that's what I see. As far as what I don't like, I didn't like the ball that hung to Greenlaw. I didn't like the ball that hung down the left sideline on the same day that he threw the pick to Greenlaw. I don't like the fact that he is sometimes late in the middle. Last year he lucked out and those passes did not get picked off. This year, I mean, Brock Purdy has got a little gunslinger to him. He will try to thread the needle in the middle of the field, and I have a feeling teams will be looking for those passes this year.
You see that one today off his back foot that Gibson knocked down? That was over the middle to Kittle real high. Like, whoa, that was careless.
I mean, people were going to talk about the pick six today. The pick six was not the bad play today.
It got tipped.
That was a tip pass by Greenlaw, and Gibson's just not tart, so he catches everything back there and runs it back. But in reality,
that one was careless.
The ones that are questionable are the ones in the tight windows in the middle of the field. He's going to have to do an incredible job. I will say this though: the other thing about Purdy that's kind of amazing, considering he's not that big, he doesn't get as many passes batted down as the bigger quarterbacks do.
Sorry, I just like that you went from a lot of good stuff to like two plays that you didn't like to one more compliment. That's how a good dad does it. Just a little bit of feedback and then a little bit more praise.
First of all, this guy's never lost a game.
I love it.
That's not true. I need to see this guy. No, he lost the game. I was going to say he never lost a game that he started and finished. But I'd like
it's not a given you're going to finish a game as a football player. That's part of it.
But let's be honest about this. Before he got to Iowa State sucked. Iowa State this last year without him was 1-8 in the Big 12.
I think he was great at Iowa State.
Purdy might have had a little something to do with Iowa State.
I think absolutely. All right. Okay, so I'm going to do the not so good of Brock Purdy in camp.
Go ahead.
He has thrown 4 interceptions, 3 of which were returned for touchdowns. And he also had 3 picks drop. So that's 7 interceptable passes in 7 days. I've also counted 6 sacks, and I know other people have more for him. So what I see is a guy who, when he has time, he's good. And that was the numbers showed that last year. When he had time in the pocket, he was like, you said it was like his quarterback rate was like 130 or something just stupid. Yeah. But when he didn't have time, when he was under pressure, I feel like he's under duress a lot, and you can't really tell because it's practice and he's not getting touched. But I feel like he's under duress, and I feel like that's a big reason that he's thrown essentially a pick a day or an interceptable pass a day. And I'm not saying like he sucks or this is who he is, but I'm not sold on this offensive line, and I feel like he's gonna be under duress a lot this year, and I'm a little concerned about him getting hit and the turnovers as a result. That's where I'm at with Brock.
I hear you. I'll say this on Purdy. To me, one of the things that makes him good is also one of the things that I worry about. he doesn't have appropriate fear.
Not at all. He's bored on the field.
He's not afraid of the defenders.
He's just so calm.
And he's gonna get starched if he doesn't get rid of the ball a little sooner. And I also have those same questions about the offensive line.
Yep.
But I'll say this about camp picks. Okay, Alex Smith never made any. You have to in practice test your boundaries to see what you can and cannot do.
It's true.
You show me a quarterback that doesn't throw any picks in practice. That's
Sam
not
Darnold.
a good thing.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I mean,
we're going to get to him in a minute, buddy.
More times
than
than
not,
that means
about
you're
that.
not taking enough chances.
Which he's not
doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's
I'm
a
with
problem.
I'm with you on that. So I'd rather have a quarterback do what Brock's doing, which is to say, because he's throwing those shots up the sideline every day. Is he going to do that in games? Not if he doesn't hit them in practice, but he's at least trying to hit them in practice, which is what you're supposed. That's what practice is for. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold is literally practicing checking down 1 million times a day, and we're going to talk about that later. It's not about Sam yet.
Sam Darnold had a rough day today, in my opinion.
We're going to get to Sam in a minute, but Brock, my question isn't that like he's regressed or that he's not the same. I think his limitations are there, but so like, is he going to hit the deep shot down the sideline? I don't know if he ever will. But these turnovers and these sacks are things that I'm worried about. He's a little guy. He's coming off an injury. Can he hold up? Does he get the ball out of his hands quick enough? And is he going to start? There were a lot of picks that were dropped last year. If the luck turns against him and he loses a few games because of turnovers, can he withstand that? Will he still be the real deal? Or will Kyle all of a sudden go to Sam Darnold, the next Steve Young? I don't know. But that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's somewhat fair. I mean, I'll
somewhat. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll
Thank you.
also say that, the turn, like, to me, there's one thing to worry about with Brock Purdy, because he's going to get smarter and better and more knowledgeable and everything, because he hadn't been in the offense a very short amount of time. But the one question is, if he's lost some zip and he can't
he didn't have
get
zip to lose. He didn't have zip to lose. Yeah.
He doesn't have zip to lose. And if that would lead to guys breaking more on his ball, turnovers will be obviously cost them from winning games. That to me is the big issue with him. I know he can process. Does he turn it over because he's trying to make play after play after play?
Fish and Chip says message to the Yorks, 29 years. I'm gonna tell him.
A long time. 1994.
It's been longer than the Cowboys. Jorge Luis Sotelo says GFT 305, Jets. I'm getting worried about the quarterback position. Maybe Trey Lance should start since he is eventually going to lead the Niners to the Super Bowl versus the Bengals. Thank you, Jorge. Bobo 0383 says, I'm cautious about Brock because of Cap and Jimmy. The common denominator of injuries changing their trajectory after fast starts. I get the divisiveness of Cap, but he put up decent numbers at the end, though. I think there's more of a carryover with Jimmy, though. Like, they both had hot starts. They both had serious injuries. And the Niners bet on Jimmy before the injury. And the Niners don't necessarily have to bet on Brock yet because he's not up for an extension yet, but Kyle still said he's the real deal. So now when he's up for an extension, his agent can be like, well, he said he's the real deal. And so that's going to be $45 million a year. Thank you.